Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. So on CookieCast, it's the football podcast. The guys are here, they're talking football, and everything you could possibly want. Games gone, games to come, everything in between. Jam-packed. Before we get started, please do consider like, share, subscribe, and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review. Share the podcast around, people. If you like football, you know someone who likes football. Send this their way. They'll love it. Right. Let's get started. Here we go. This is CookieCast, football podcast.
Ah, yes. The recording is indeed in progress, ladies and gentlemen. And welcome back to another week of football-based nonsense right here on the CookieCast Podcast Network. We're here to discuss everything Hull and Middlesbrough this week. No Nottingham Forest until we get to the predictions at the end of the show. So no Nottingham Forest games this week, which means it's just myself and Mr. Woodmansey to talk Hull and Borough. And we've had a bit of a mixed bag across the board this week. A bit of good and a bit of bad for both of our teams, it would seem.
And a little bit of ugly just for good measure as well, seeing as I've come to join you. So you're welcome.
Oh, couldn't disagree more, sir. Couldn't disagree more. So we'll dive straight in. And unfortunately, we do have to go to the bad and the ugly side of things, as it was Hull City versus Millwall. On Saturday afternoon, 12:30 kickoff. I'm assuming you were there live in person.
Yep, and the club have been once again doing their EFL sticker swaps day. So anybody collecting the stickers can go down to the ground a little bit early, and in the club shop, for an hour and a half, you can go and swap them. The club have some, and like other families have some and stuff. So it's quite nice, really. The only difficulty is that the young lady who looks after it is also one of the young ladies who looks after the flag bearers for the start of the game and all that kind of stuff. So the game starts at 12:30, and then knock it on the head at 11. Bearing in mind that getting there from doing parkrun as we do, little bit of a rush. So the last two dinner time kickoffs we've got there with 5 minutes to go. However, the ladies who work there, always super helpful, and both times we've come away with plenty of new stickers for my boys. So well done to the club. You finish it a little bit early, but it's been pretty well run up until that point. So yeah, really, really good. To be fair, Paul knows me, like you guys might know me from like the wrestling podcast and stuff. The amount of collectibles and stuff I do, I would quite happily volunteer and do that for them, because it'd be quite a fun thing to do. But yeah, there we go. Right, the actual game, what people are here to listen to. You might not want to by the time we finish this one, but we'll get there. Hull set up to go for this one. This was, what was it played out as? Third v fifth at kickoff? Somewhere around there. Mm-hmm. Looking good from the starting lineup, set up to go for it. Semi Ajayi back. Coyle was moved to left back so that Drame could come in at the right. It seems we've got a bit of an injury bother at the left at the moment. Joseph back in the team. Gelhardt, Miller and McBurney all started. So really, really kind of attacking lineup with Slater and Lundstrom anchoring in midfield. And for the first 10 minutes, they started like an absolute steam train. The first 10 minutes was all Hull. Joseph hit the bar with a header from a Lundstrom cross. When he headed the ball as well, it was inside the 6-yard box. It was one of them ones where just get it on target. Just like the keeper wouldn't have had a chance. But unfortunately, he clipped the bar and it came back out again. And then unfortunately, much like the last home game, the visitors scored on their first attack. Fantastic. It was a free kick out on the right hand side, about 40 yards out. It was looped to the back post, and one centre half headed it into the path of the other centre half, Jake Cooper, who scored. Fired it into the roof of the net. Hull weren't deterred, however, and 4 minutes later, I am pleased to say they were level. A goal kick by Millwall was headed back towards the Millwall penalty area by Cody Drammer. Their midfielders tried to clear and ended up sort of ricocheting off each other. But they ended up allowing Joseph to see the run of Joe Gelhardt. He managed to get the benefit of that mix-up, and he stabbed a pass through, and Joe Gelhardt absolutely walloped it home. Hull then thought they'd taken the lead when Joseph headed home, but the ref disallowed for a goalkeeper foul. Have you seen this, Paul?
No, I don't think I did. I was sort of rushing about a bit on Saturday, so I only caught bits of the whole game.
This decision to not award the goal was softer than a Mr. Whippy on a 40-degree day. It was terrible. Ollie McBurney was judged to have stopped the keeper coming to the ball. He didn't push the keeper. His arms were by his side. Ollie McBurney actually had a defender on him. And yeah, because the keeper made a hash of it, the referee decided it was a foul. I believe the phrase absolute horseshit springs to mind. Anyway, the Hull again carried on. Charlie Hughes headed against the bar. Another chance as well before half-time fell to Regan Slater, who could only scuff a shot straight at the keeper. Realistically, it could have been 5-1 to Hull at half-time, but unfortunately, it was only 1-1. And the second half came around, and Hull managed to find that massive, shiny, brightly coloured red self-destruct button. Ivo Pandor first up to smash it when the world's slowest cross trundled across the goal 4 yards out, and he just let it go. Right
was
to
a bit,
Ivanovic. And,
it was a bit after you, Claude, wasn't it? With him and Charlie Hughes.
But Charlie Hughes kind of looked at his keeper as if saying, "What are you doing?" Hughes probably could have dealt with it, but in fairness, the ball was inside the 6-yard box. If Ivo Pandor fell forwards properly, he'd be tall enough to just stop that with his fucking head, never mind like put his hands on it. So it was an absolute shower from the goalkeeper. Again, not exactly covering himself in glory of late. Not exactly got a right lot of competition, since we have all them goalkeepers, but we've been through this before. They're either out on loan somewhere or knackered. But yeah, Ivanovic pretty much scored the easiest goal of his life. I would suggest, actually, he didn't really even know that much about it. He just happened to be stood in the right place and the ball ricocheted off him and went in. Anyway, Ivo Pandor had his turn with the self-destruct. Step forward, the returning Semi Ajayi. He had control of the ball quite near the halfway line over on the right-hand side. And rather than pushing forward and playing a forward pass, from that distance decided he was going to turn around and pass back to Panda. But effectively, rather than passing it to Panda, he just sort of tickled it into the path of Coburn. Hughes was back to cover. Coburn beat him, moving the ball over to the right, and then smartly finished into the bottom left from the very edge of the box. And from that point onwards, Hull only had 12 minutes to try and fight back. And they absolutely didn't. So annoyingly, a game that was there for the taking, they should have been out of sight at half-time. They end up looking like they've been thumped. And it could have been a very, very different game had we actually managed to finish anything. So yeah, a little bit of a frustrating one, actually. Bit of bad feeling walking back. As you'd expect, the Millwall fans were stereotypically bullish, shall we say, walking through the local shopping centre on the way home. And for the first time this season, It's the first time I've seen armed police in attendance on the walk back to the train station. So,
Mm.
yeah, that was interesting. But yeah, annoyingly, a 3-1 home defeat.
Mm. Yes. Dare I suggest it might not be the only home defeat we hear about this evening. Predictions wise, Stuart gone for a 1-1 draw with McBurney and Aziz to score the goals. So not only does his team lose, he also has the indignity of having a McBurney goal chalked out. I'd gone for a 2-1 Hull win. I went for Crooks, Gelhardt, and Aziz as my goal scorer. So I do get a bonus point for the Gelhardt goal to salvage something. So it's a point to me, no points to Stu after the one game. We moved to Sunday, and it was Queen's Park Rangers taking on Middlesbrough in another game that was live on TV. This one at 4:30, no less. As seems to be the way in the games that have been broadcasted live on Sky in the past couple of weeks. Borough started this one on the back foot, so to speak. It was actually QPR that came out of the box faster. Coney had a chance on the left-hand side of the box, took the ball past, I think it was Ayling potentially, and his tame shot was stopped down at his knees by Sol Bryn. It didn't take long for Borough to get a foothold in the game. And they took the lead on 20 minutes. Sky reported this as slightly controversial. I'm going to dispel that immediately. So the ball was played down the left-hand side, and Riley McGree was sort of released in behind. His little cutback found Morgan Whittaker about 6 yards out. His initial effort was definitely heading wide as he hit it with a part of his foot that I don't even think he knew existed. But I think the ball hit. I think the defender was Norrington Davis, and the ball rebounded into the path of Whittaker, who then scuffed his shot towards goal. David Strelick is in the way of the ball, and as he can see the ball is coming towards his chest, he brings his arms in to the middle of his body because doesn't want to be accused of a handball. The ball, in doing so, the ball deflects off the bottom of his elbow, which is tucked in as close to his chest as he possibly can, and goes over the line. Now, Sky saying, "Ooh, don't think that goal should have stood there. It's hit his arm." Well, where the fuck is he supposed to put his arms then? Is he just supposed to cut them off just so they don't exist for the next 30 seconds in that little passage of
Yes,
play?
he is. That's the answer, Paul.
Is he supposed to just do this like he's some sort of ballerina trying to sort of get his arms out of the way? Honestly, it was the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Like, it wasn't even as if it had been smashed at him without well, no, it wasn't. I say that it wasn't as if it wasn't as if it was smashed at him, but it did come at at a pace that he wasn't going to be able to do anything with. So I'd say the fact that he was able to get his arms in tight to his chest was probably the best thing he possibly could have done anyway. So if that goal had been chalked off, even if VAR would have got involved, I'd have been absolutely fuming. But obviously no VAR in the Championship. So it wasn't. The goal stood. Borough 1-0 up. A couple of chances for either team at that point for the rest of the half. But nothing doing. A couple of saves made from either keeper. Kept the score at 1-0. Into the second half, it was QPR that was setting the pace once again, trying to get back into the game. A couple of chances in there, but nothing really concrete, nothing where Bryn was forced into making a decent save or anything like that. But it was actually Borough who increased the lead on 68 minutes. A corner from the right-hand side eventually made its way back to Luke Ayling on the edge of the 6-yard box on the right-hand side. He controlled it, turned, and then almost in the same move, lofted a ball towards the back post, It looked as if at one point it might have dropped in, but it actually just dropped a little bit, it clipped off the bar and came down. But Alan Brown was following in quite handily and headed home from about 3 yards out to make it 2-0 to the Borough. The third, this is the third for the Borough, was probably the pick of the bunch and came following some smart work by Conway and McGree out on the left-hand side. Conway had come on as a second-half substitute. He played the ball in to the left-hand side, just on the edge of the box. A step over by McGree made the ball come to Hackney. He took a touch to get out of his feet and bent one beautifully into the far corner, gave the keeper absolutely no chance to make it 3-0. QPR had a chance to get back into it, but they had a shot from Harvey Vale from about 20 yards out. It was a good effort, actually. His left foot was curling, but it hit the post and came back out. So that would have made it 1-3. But Borough killed the game in the 88th minute following a penalty. It was a lovely little sort of through ball played by Morris. It was one of those ones where he kind of sort of cuts the corner off. Took about 3 players out of the game. Spotted the run from Conway in behind. Conway was brought down from behind, I think, by Jake Clark-Salter. Conway himself got himself back up. I think he'd scored in every previous appearance against QPR. I might have made that up, but he definitely had 3 in his last 3 against QPR, for instance, with Borough and his games. Sorry, his games earlier in the season and 2 games in against QPR last season. But he picked himself up, dusted himself off, and the keeper did get a hand to it, but he managed to find the back of the net with his penalty. So a 4-0 rampant Borough win. Excuse me. Following on from Leicester doing them a favour by holding Ipswich to a draw on Saturday, that did mean that Borough were able to increase their lead over Ipswich to 5 points. Ipswich do, of course, still have a game in hand, and they do still have to play Borough later on in the season. But as it stands at the moment, looking very good for Borough to gain that second automatic promotion space. Will that change? Come later in the podcast. I'd gone for a 2-2 draw. I'd gone for Saito and Kone to score for Queen's Park Rangers, Strelec and Britton to score for Borough. So I do get myself a bonus point for the Strelec goal. Stuart had gone for a 2-1 Borough win. Saito, McGree and Hackney. So 2 points for Stu, meaning it's 2-2, 2 games in. Our third game of the week takes us to Tuesday night. And it was another battle of teams in the top 6, as 6th place Wrexham took on 5th place Hull City. Obviously, all the talk going into this one was the fact that a certain Ryan Reynolds was in the crowd. Obviously, he'd been here for the FA Cup game against Chelsea at the weekend, and he's here to do commentary on the forthcoming game against Swansea this coming Friday. But he was in attendance for the Wrexham Hull game. Don't think he went home too happy, did he, Mr. Woodmansey?
Well, that would be telling. I have to say at this point as well, 6th v 5th in the league, top 2 not in action, not the main game on Sky. Insanity. Anyway, just to rub salt into the wound as well with that Sky point. They decided to, a couple of days previous, rub salt into the wound by saying that they're going to mess around with both of our Easter fixtures. The Friday one now being televised, but also then, we happen to be playing Coventry on Easter Monday. So let's move that to 8 o'clock in the evening, shall we? Why? Idiots. Anyway, yeah. Again, another game where Hull started brightly. Pressing led to a really loose back pass being picked off. Zach Viner, his pass was picked off by Cody Drammer, whose shot was scrambled just over the bar by Callum Doyle. He featured quite a lot. We'll get to this. Wrexham were conceding possession in their own half. It seemed to be a recurring theme throughout the time in that first 45. But it did take until the 27th minute for Wrexham to get a decent effort. They did actually give it a go. Longman fed Windass, whose shot was parried away by Panda. So one former Hull player, one son of a Hull legend, combining to almost put Hull behind. But just shortly after this, attack up the other end, and centre half Charlie Hughes was fouled about 25 yards from goal, on the right hand corner of the sort of penalty area, but a little bit further out. And we've not really done a lot of damage from set pieces all season. But Tuesday night in Wrexham, signed Joe Gelhardt up for whipping one right into the top corner. The keeper did manage to get his hand to it, but I'd say it's the best free kick you'll see all season as a Hull fan. But I think it's the only one we've actually scored directly from, so it's not really got a lot of competition at the moment. So 0-1 Hull, and then 2 minutes later, Hull had the chance to double the lead when we were awarded a penalty. Gelhardt was upended in the box. Callum Doyle again. It was him that also gave the free kick away. So, quite important in this game. Doyle by name, Doyle by nature, it seems. A little bit of confusion around this one, as regular penalty taker Ollie McBurney was on the pitch, but the ball was handed to Joe Gelhardt. He tried to power a shot low to the keeper's left. Okonkwo went the right way. Unfortunately, kept the penalty out, kept his side in the game. It's since been revealed afterwards that they had a bit of a gentleman's agreement at the start of the season that if Joe Gelhardt won a penalty, Ollie McBurney would let him take it. So Gelhardt's now scored in 2 games running. Hull City posted earlier on Wednesday morning, Joffy again, ole ole, to which was reposted by Ollie McBurney with Joffy's not taking pens again, ole ole. Gelhardt responded in good taste. It wasn't like an actual dig properly. He has admitted he's quite happy to not take another penalty until the season has finished, is how he put it. Anyway, it went into half-time, 0-1, and it took until the 63rd minute for us to see some more goals when Hull doubled the lead. A save from Liam Miller drew a corner out on the right-hand side. The ball was floated across towards the back post and headed seemingly clear to the left wing. But it was Liam Miller himself who went and then picked the ball up. Good cross, saw Lewis Kumas glance in and beat the keeper. So 2-0. However, 14 minutes from time, Wrexham did pull a goal back. Broadhead pinged home a cross from Kabore. Did you watch the Chelsea game, Paul, in the FA Cup?
I didn't see it. I was at a friend's house and I mistakenly saw that it was on TNT Sport. Thinking that was the only channel it was being shown on. So, no, I didn't see any of the games.
So this goal in our game that Wrexham scored was pretty much a carbon copy of one that they had scored against them by Garnacho when they played Chelsea. If you've been to the football, you've seen the football on telly, you'll know that the referees have to go around and check the nets, right? To make sure that there's no holes in the bottom. They're generally kind of on like a thin sort of weighting. Not in Wrexham. They're on these massive, like almost half a foot thick poles that will rival a goalpost if needed. And twice in 2 games now, a goal has been scored where the ball has been smashed against this white bar and it's popped straight back out of the goal. The players know it's gone in. Half the stadium don't. Really weird because they scored and there was almost like no reaction from like 2/3 of the crowd. Silly. I don't know why they have to have them. It just looks stupid. Maybe that's where they're hiding all of the extra dollar bills. Who knows? They did have a couple of chances to level the game after that as well. But Hull managed to hold firm and cement their league position, which now, yes, they are still 5th. it's a weird. We're starting to see a bit of a gap now. I think the top two are kind of pulling away a little bit more. Um, but in terms of like where Hull are now in relation to the pack chasing the playoff spaces, we're now 6 points ahead of Wrexham in sixth, but crucially 9 points ahead of Derby in seventh. So we've got a 3 game swing with what, 9 games left?
Yep.
So that's you'd like the odds at the moment of them at least finishing in the playoffs. Obviously, stranger things have happened. Not going to fully jinx it, but yeah, everything. Despite the loss to and as frustrating as it was to Millwall, which again hasn't helped with the spacing within the playoff places themselves, ended up feeling a lot brighter after looking at the league table. Once the points had been worked out on this one, so yeah, not terrible.
Yes, indeed. So, what have we got here? I had gone for a 2-1 Wrexham win. And I didn't pick any of the goals because I had Thomason at Rathbone and McBurney. So I don't get jack shit for that game. Stuart gone for a 2-2 draw. Had Moore, Rathbone, Crooks, and Gelhart to score. So just bag himself a bonus point for the Gelhart goal. And our final game of the week took us to the Riverside Stadium where Middlesbrough were taking on Charlton Athletic. Now, I'm not going to go too much into this because it's just going to make me frustrated and annoyed. But let's just cut to the chase. Borough lost this game 1-0, which means the last 3 games they've played at home have been against teams in the bottom 7, 6, 7, 8 teams in the league, and they have a combined total of 2 points. Not ideal when you're looking for automatic promotion. Just to go through some of the stats from the game. Borough had 34 shots, 7 of which were on target. They didn't score. Charlton had 5 shots, 2 of which were on target, and they scored once. And to be honest, they also should have scored in the first half, as their only goal came in the second half, the 59th minute, following a long throw from the right hand side that was flicked on and stabbed home by Connor Cody for about 5 yards out. I wouldn't even go so far as to say it was smash and grab from Charlton, because Borough were just incredibly toothless going forward. Several chances. I think we counted at least 4 clear headers that Leo Castledine had unmarked after he came on as a second half sub. Has to be doing better with at least half of them. I don't think a single one of them was on target. Or all either headed over or at the post, straight into the keeper's hands. Just bad. Really, really bad. The closest Borough came was an effort that Aidan Morris rattled off the bar. That was following a neat little cutback from, I believe it was Ryan McGree again. But this home form is getting alarming now, and it needs to be arrested. It's strangely against teams that are towards the bottom of the league that sit in and defend that they seem to struggle against. It's the teams that are the teams that they're in and around. They don't seem to have any problems with, or when they play away from home, they don't have any problems breaking them down. So they've still got to play Ipswich. They've still got to play Millwall. Strangely enough, those two are the games that you'd normally be concerned about. They're the games I have the least concern, because I don't think Millwall and I don't think Ipswich have got it in them to just sit behind the ball for an hour or like 90 minutes. So I think they'll want to come out and they'll want to try and attack, and that's where Borough can use their usual game to try and pull them out of their positions and exploit the spaces in behind. So yes, not ideal. I suppose the worst thing about this one was the fact that Ipswich had played yesterday and had drawn 3-3 with Stoke, which gave Borough the chance to extend the lead over Ipswich. And what it does now mean is that Ipswich are now 4 points behind them with a game in hand. But Millwall are only 1 point behind them on the same number of games played. So yes, not ideal in any sort of stretch of the imagination. They will have to put the ship right at the weekend. Let's just put it that way. So, long story short, no one got any points for this because no one had even picked Charlton to score, let alone win the game. I went for a 3-0 Borough win, McGree, Hackney and Morris. Stuart for a 2-0 win with McGree and Strelec. So no points. Which means that at the end of the week, I got 2 points from 4 games. Stu got 3 points from 4 games and takes the win, as it were. Looking ahead, week 29 brings with it 4 matches. 2 Forest, 1 apiece for Borough and Hull. We'll take a very short break to recompose ourselves, especially me after that infuriating home loss to Charlton, and we'll come back at you with some predictions, starting with Nottingham Forest versus FC Midtjylland in the Europa League. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. The break is over. We are rehydrated. Very much so. And we will continue with some predictions. Lovely. So, like we said, the first prediction of the week is Nottingham Forest's European adventure continuing in the last 16 of the Europa League, where they will take on FC Midtjylland of Denmark. They took on earlier in the tournament, and sadly they succumbed to a 3-2 defeat at home. Will they have better luck this time? Well, I think that yes, they will. I've gone for a 2-1 Nottingham Forest win, and I've gone for the double-barreled double, as it were. I've gone for Hudson-Odoi and Gibbs-White to score for Forest, and then I've gone for Philip Billing to score, as he's the only name in the Midtjylland squad that I remembered / recognised from the Premier League days. So, 2-1 Forest win for me. Stu?
I have gone for a 1-1 draw because it's played over 2 legs, isn't it? So I'm going on the basis of Forest won't make it easy for their fans. And yeah, 1-1 draw. I have also got Billing for the exact same reason. I had a look through the list and I thought, shall I be mean to Paul this week or not? And I decided to be nice. And for Forest, Jesus.
Igor Jesus. Our second game of the week takes us to the Riverside. Oh God. Not like as we discussed, not the happiest of hunting grounds at the moment for the Borough. And they're taking on a team that they don't have the best of records against, no matter where they play them. It's Borough versus Bristol City. Ugh. Obviously, it's my team, so I'll go last. So let's go to Stu for his prediction on Borough versus Bristol City.
As we all know, this game will fully depend on which Bristol City side turn up. Seems to be every game for Bristol City is either all or nothing. I've bordered on the lines of nothing for this one, so I've got Borough, who will now be absolutely ravenous for a home win, to get the job done 2-1. Got Reese for Bristol, because I remember Paul saying way back when that he always scores against them, and I think that was the week that I predicted him to score for Hull, score against Hull, and he did. And I've got McGree and Whitaker.
Would be very much up for that, as Whitaker is in a bit of a drought at the minute. I can't remember the last time he scored. Off the top of my head. Southampton?
He's well overdue.
He's very much overdue. Obviously, he thought he'd broken his duck in the 4-0 win at QPR, but it was Strelec on the line that got credited with the first goal. Yeah, I had a bad feeling about this one even before the Charlton game, and the Charlton game's just kind of reiterated to me. I just at the minute something needs to change at home, and I don't see it coming against a team that they always struggle against. So I've gone for a 1-1 draw. Um, I've gone for Conway to score for Borough, and then Def taxes Emil Rees scoring against the Borough are the three certainties in life. That's Saturday 12:30, but Saturday 3 p.m. also sees West Bromwich Albion versus Hull City. Obviously, it's Mr. Woodmansey's team, so he will give his prediction last. I can only presume you're not taking a trip to the Black Country.
No, I have been twice before, but we're not going this weekend.
More's the pity. West Brom actually picked up in the last couple of games. They've got a couple of back-to-back draws. 1-1 against Sheffield United and 1-1 against Southampton. The Southampton draw was actually an agonising last-minute equaliser from Southampton as well. So you'd imagine that they'll take a little bit of confidence in the fact that they've arrested their losing run. But because the results have gone against them, as it seems, they actually do find themselves second bottom going into this one now. I think Hull seem to be playing better away from home at the moment, much like the Borough.
Won 8 of their last 10 away, so.
And I think they will capitalise on that with a 3-0 away win. I've gone for Gelhardt McBurney, and I've thrown a Paddy McNair goal, as I believe he did have a loan spell at West Brom last season. I don't think he played anywhere near a large amount of games, so it would be typical that he would score on his return, I believe. So I've gone 3-0.
Yeah, well, interesting you are hoping Paddy will dong one in. I have gone for a 1-1 draw to go for the 1-1 on the three-peat, as it were. McBurney is well overdue for Hull, even though his top scorer seems to have taken a bit of a backseat in the last few games. Been happy to play sort of the holding role, but we all know that he'll get a bit selfish at some point and have a go. So I've gone for McBurney for Hull. Plus, obviously, as we've now found out, if we get a penalty, he'll definitely be back on duty. And I've gone for Diakite for West Brom.
The jubbly. And then our fourth and final fixture of the weekend takes us back to the City Ground for Nottingham Forest versus Fulham. Stuart last on that one, on the previous game. So let's go first on this one. Let's see what you've got down for Forest versus Fulham.
I'm really sorry, Matt, if you're listening. I think that the European game is probably where some of the focus will lie this week. Fulham, again, are a bit like the Bristol City of the Premier League. It depends which side turns up. But I've got a 1-0 Fulham win with Bob for the winner.
I do like that goal scorer pick, I'm not going to lie. I've got a little bit more optimistic. I've gone for a 1-1 draw here. I've gone for Jesus to score for Forest and Wilson to score for Fulham. Now, I know Wilson didn't play at the weekend in the FA Cup, but I think that was more of a precaution to save him for the league rather than anything else. Yes, so I've gone for a 1-1 draw. So that brings us to the end of the predictions. But technically, there is another game this weekend that one of us will be going to in person. It is not, however, taking place in the UK. For those of you not watching on YouTube, Mr. Woodmansey looks as confused as just about everyone else in this particular room right now, which is interesting because we're in two separate rooms, and I don't believe there's a person in either of the rooms other than ourselves. So that was a strange way to describe it. Yes, I have tickets to go see Real Mallorca versus Espanyol this weekend.
Okay.
One of my friends has very kindly, as a rather early birthday present, treated me to a few days away in Mallorca. So we're going there this Saturday, and on the Sunday, it's Mallorca versus Espanyol in La Liga, and we've got tickets to go to the game.
Nice. Well, that was not what I was expecting to hear.
Let's have a look at what else is on a Saturday. I think so. Who have Pools got that day? Let's have a look. Well, Aldershot are playing York, and I definitely wouldn't be going there. However, I think Stu might have had his ears pricked up at the fact that it's Truro City versus Hartlepool United, and he might have been thinking that I was up for the long, hard slog down to the other end of the country.
Oh, it'll absolutely take you less time to get to Spain.
Correct. I will be in Spain in about half the time it would take me to get to where, like Oxford or whatever it was. If I was traveling down to Truro, yeah. So yeah, just thought I'd mention that.
So you could have
Yes,
told me
never.
ahead of time, and we could have had the extra prediction. My prediction for that
No,
game is Paul is going to be
no.
very drunk.
Oh no, I thought you were going to say 0-0. But
I'd have had two
what I
Spanish
did.
teams. There would have definitely have been some like 20-foot long name that I could
Oh,
have got you to write in the book.
no, I honestly thought you were going to just jump in there and say, no, it's not going to be a 0-0 draw. It'll be a Juan
Oh,
draw or
but
something like that. So I thought that's where we were diving, gallivanting very, very furiously towards. Something I did spot in the Espanyol team is that in their last game they got a 1-1 draw, and their goal was scored by a certain player called Kike Garcia. Now, if people have been fans of my team in the last 10 years, they might hear that name, Kike Garcia, and think, huh, sounds a bit familiar. Yes, indeed. 10 years ago, Borough did indeed have a striker called Kike, although he just went by Kike at that point. And it is indeed the same player. So, whilst I will technically be there supporting Mallorca, I will fully be putting my thoughts and feelings into Kike Garcia anytime he touches the ball for Espanyol in my guise as a Middlesbrough supporter. Um, yeah, looking through the teams, I don't think I know a single. Oh no, Mallorca do have Mateo Joseph on loan from Leeds, so I do recognise one name.
And those two places are so
Um,
similar as well, aren't they? Mallorca and
yeah, they do describe Mallorca as the Leeds of no no the Leeds is the Mallorca. No, yeah, I can't wait. I can't make that one work no matter which way around you look at it. Mallorca appear to have a left back whose name is almost Mallorca. Johan Mujica. I can only presume he was signed in a sort of an Arsenal Arsene Wenger style scenario. But they're like, well, his name's almost a team, so we might have to have him as our manager. But yes, just thought I'd drop that in the fact that it's the first time I've seen a game on the continent of Spain.
Very
I've been
nice.
to Spain a
Well,
fair few times, but I've never been to a Spanish game.
I cannot boast such an exciting weekend. However, I do have three things to mention for the end of the podcast.
Ooh, lovely, lovely. All right. Well,
Um,
I will bow over to you then, and you can, for want of a better phrase,
so
finish us off this week.
Um, two bits of Hull news and one funny story is what I found. So, the Hull news is seemingly, soon as we are ravaged by injury, we are now teasing people by putting like random players on the bench in games, which has been funny for the last three games. So, the under 21's goalkeeper. Yeah, he got a lovely trip down to Portsmouth recently because we couldn't field the full bench, so he just went for what the best part of a 12-hour bus ride. So he enjoyed that one. But the better news is that some players that are seemingly closer to a return than we were maybe led to believe. Last week's home game against Millwall saw Elliot Matazo on the bench for the first time since he did his ACL against Sunderland last season. So way over a year now. So that was nice and positive. He didn't actually get on, but as we were already 3-1 down by the time he probably would have come on, probably not best to risk him. And at the Wrexham game, Mohamed Baloumi, not only on the bench, actually got on the field. So very, very positive. So yeah, he came on as a second half substitute. So that was nice to see. The other whole thing is, as we were saying about it's important, it's coming towards crunch time. There's 9 games left. Well, our last 3 home games are Coventry, Birmingham, and Norwich. The club released this week information on a special ticket offer that they're doing for the last 3 games. So it works out at £22 a game for adults for all 3 tickets. Now, obviously, they haven't gone into the realms of jinxing things, but you would suggest that if people are taking up that offer and Hull should get to the playoffs or the playoff final, people who've been and attended games already this season will definitely have preference over those who haven't. So I suggest that's probably a good option if you want to come and support Hull at home for the rest of the season. And the last 3 games at a discounted price, one against potentially, sorry Paul, the league winners, and 2 probably more winnable games, I should suggest. But the last piece of football stuff I have this week involves neither of our 2 sides, nor does it involve Nottingham Forest. This week has been a Champions League week, and normally we don't talk about Champions League on here because none of our teams feature yet. I'll caveat that with yet. But this week, on the Tuesday night's Champions League fixtures, it was a tale of 2 cities and 2 very different football grounds for an FC Barcelona fan who turned up at the wrong St James's Park.
I had seen this.
So the Spanish supporter, who obviously was trying to travel to Newcastle, got a flight to London and was then due to travel onwards up north. What he actually did was arrive in London and then go to St James's Park in Devon, the home of Exeter City Football Club. Luckily, or unluckily for the Barcelona fan, Exeter also had a home game on the Tuesday night, but arrived looking very confused, as you can imagine. He showed his he showed his ticket to the staff at the ground, and it was only at that point that he realised his mistake. The very kind staff of Exeter didn't want him to have a completely wasted journey, so they got him a ticket for the game, and he got to see Exeter City versus Lincoln instead of Newcastle versus Barcelona. The good news is that at least he saw a team win because his own team drew 1-1 with the last kick of the game. Lincoln City beat Exeter 1-0, so he didn't exactly bring good luck for the home side either. But I just thought that was funny. Of all the, like, he's only wrong by what? 500 and a bit miles? Somewhere around?
it is hilarious that of the two teams that he could, the two possible options that he could have picked, was that they are at polar opposite ends of the actual country. It's not as if it's like he could have gone to sort of like, a city that has two stadiums and just accidentally gone to the wrong stadium. But he's gone to the wrong stadium in the wrong city, in the wrong area, in the wrong end of the country. So
apparently that like the guy's English wasn't great, and obviously the people who work for Exeter, bless them, as nice as they were to him, I'm not sure there's many Spanish speakers amongst their staff either. And from what they could work out, he'd literally arrived in London and put St James's Park into Google Maps.
oh my word!
I think it's great. Like, I wonder what happened. I'd love to know what happened for like. Surely he was staying over. Surely he's not returning to London from Devon, because even that's a bit of a trek in and of itself.
Well, I mean, you would have thought so. Yes. Very strange. Let's just put it that way. But fair play to the guy. He could have just sort of like, whined and cried and then tried to get on a very, very fast train, I suppose. But no, fair play to Exeter for giving him a ticket. I'm surprised it wasn't sold out.
Hey, Lincoln are doing well.
Lincoln are the leaders of League One. Some would say an unassailable lead to the team in third. So it's looking like they're going up. Yes, they may have a trip next season to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium if things go the way they're going at the moment in the Premier League. So you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That brings us to the end of this week's podcast. I thank you, as always, to Mr. Stuart Woodmansey for joining me to go through the details of his team, along with my team, and with Mr. Matt Moore's team. Join us again next week, where we'll break all those games down. We'll do some more predicting for you for the next games to come. And you never know, we might have a guy who's flown to Mallorca but ended up at Menorca's stadium or something like that. I don't know. Or he's ended up in Ibiza by mistake.
I think, ladies and gentlemen, that means Paul might do that.
That's what I was getting at. Luckily for me, obviously the airport we're flying to in Mallorca is Palma Airport, so obviously I'll board a flight to Italy by mistake. That's where the joke will be. I have absolutely zero conversation in Italian. I mean, I can order a beer in Spanish. That's about it.
You'd be fine for a weekend then.
Yeah, I should be. But yes, thank you, as always, for listening, for watching. We will be back in a week's time, but until then, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week. Tatty bye.
So there we go. What do you think of that? Another one done, another one gone. Big thank you for watching, big thank you for listening, big thank you for being here. Before you leave us, do consider like, share, subscribe and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review. Check out the website, thecookiecast.com. There we have social media links and an email button, and that way you can get in touch with us. That's it for this one. Till next time, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then.
Thank you for listening to these grumpy old men talk about football. If you've enjoyed this episode, please like, share and subscribe.